It was discovered in 1912 in a trunk at a Jesuit college in Italy. A Polish-American book dealer named Wilfred Voynich found it, bound in limp vellum. The manuscript looked ancient. Its pages were filled with looping script in a language no one recognized. Alongside the strange writing were peculiar drawings, plants that don't exist in nature, zodiac symbols surrounding nude women, cosmological diagrams of impossible worlds, and pages filled with interconnected tubes, as if mapping a body or a machine. From the moment he laid eyes on it, Voynich knew it was extraordinary. He believed it was a scientific text encrypted centuries earlier. He thought it might even be the lost work of Roger Bacon, a 13th century English philosopher rumored to have dabbled in secret codes. Voynich spent years trying to unlock the script. He sent photos of the pages to scholars across Europe. None could decipher even a single word. Linguists, cryptographers, and codebreakers all failed. The script did not match any known alphabet. The language appeared consistent but meaningless. Some theorized it was a hoax. Others thought it was glossolalia or spirit writing. Some believed it held a hidden message visible only to the right eyes. As news spread, the manuscript gained a reputation, a riddle wrapped in vellum, a code no one could crack. When Voynich died in 1930, the manuscript passed to his wife. After her death, it changed hands again. In the 1960s, it was donated to Yale University's Voynich Rare Book Library. There, it became known as Voynich MS 408. But everyone still called it the Voynich Manuscript. Scholars began studying it more seriously. They scanned the parchment, measured in composition, carbon dated the vellum. The results pointed to the early 1400s, likely created in Central Europe, but that only deepened the mystery. Who would write a book no one could read? Why would they fill it with such bizarre images? Some speculated it was a medical text. The naked women in pools seemed like healing rituals. The plants could be herbs drawn from memory or imagination. The tubes might represent body systems. Others suggested it was alchemical, a record of secret knowledge hidden from the church. Some even claimed it was extraterrestrial, a message from another world. No theory explained everything. The mystery only grew with time. In World War II, American and British codebreakers tried to decode it. Men who had cracked Nazi ciphers stared at the Voynich in defeat. One analyst said it seemed to be a real language, just not any on Earth. In the 1970s and 80s, computers were brought in. Frequency analysis was run on the text. The script followed linguistic patterns. Certain words repeated with natural rhythm. Sentence-like structures emerged. It behaved like a real language, but none of the words matched anything known. The script, now called Voynichese, was unique. Some characters only appeared in specific sections, suggesting different authors or topics. The writing remained consistent. Some argued. Could it be random gibberish designed to look meaningful? A forgery meant to deceive? Perhaps by Voynich himself, but the carbon dating ruled that out. The vellum predated him by centuries, and chemical tests showed the ink was aged appropriately. If it was a hoax, it was one done long ago by someone with remarkable skill, yet no historical record mentioned it until 1912. How could such a strange book remain hidden for 500 years? Some pointed to Emperor Rudolph II of Bohemia, a known collector of arcane texts. He may have owned it in the late 1500s. A letter found with the manuscript referenced him, stating it had been bought for 600 gold ducats, a high price for a book no one could read. Rudolph's court was a hotbed of mysticism. Alchemists, astrologers, and charlatans flourished. Perhaps the manuscript passed through their hands, a product of secret societies or esoteric schools. Others saw clues in the illustrations. A castle wall drawn in a specific architectural style, a certain dress worn by the women. These details suggested northern Italy or southern Germany, but even that was uncertain. Every answer led to more questions. Every theory contradicted another. The manuscript refused to give up its secrets, and the world, fascinated, kept watching, hoping for a codebreaker or a revelation, or just one word to make sense of the whole thing. But the Voynich remained silent, a voice from the past, forever unread, a puzzle without a key, a story written in a language only the book itself understands. They say history repeats itself, but what about the parts we forgot? Welcome to Echoes of History, the channel where we dig up the dusty corners of the past to uncover the weird, the wild, and the wait, what? Stories they didn't teach you in school. Grab your curiosity and maybe a cup of tea, because what you're about to hear might just change how you see the world. The year is 1912. A rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich stumbles upon a strange manuscript in a Jesuit college near Rome. It's an unassuming volume, vellum pages, bound in leather, worn with age. But when Voynich opens it, he is stunned. Page after page of indecipherable script, looping like vines, dancing like fire, and among the text illustrations, bizarre plants, none of which match any known species, naked women bathing in green pools, zodiac signs, celestial wheels, and strange containers that look like alchemical flasks. The script itself is unlike anything ever seen. It flows with the rhythm of meaning, yet makes no sense. Some believe it's Latin disguised, others think it might be a cipher. Voynich is convinced he's found something world-changing, a lost medical treatise, a forgotten language, an alchemical codex. He sends copies to leading linguists and cryptographers. All of them are baffled. The letters don't match any known alphabet. The syntax appears regular to be nonsense. Even experts in ancient languages draw blanks. Some propose it's shorthand or an extinct dialect. Others suspect a hoax. But a hoax of what kind? No forger would waste this much effort on gibberish. The manuscript contains over 140 pages. Its text obeys statistical rules found in real language. Words repeat with logical patterns. Certain glyphs appear only in specific sections. The book seems to be divided into parts. One section focuses on plants and botany. Another seems to describe astronomical or astrological systems. One part is filled with diagrams and bathing figures. Another contains star-like drawings and charts. And finally, a section resembling recipes or medical formulas, but no one can say for sure what any of it means, because every attempt to read the script fails. Voynich himself dies without solving the mystery. After his death, the manuscript passes through collectors' hands. It eventually lands at Yale University's Voynich Rare Book Library. There, it rests to this day. But its mystery only deepens. The more scholars study it, the stranger it becomes. Its parchment has been carbon dated to the early 15th century, so it's not a modern hoax. The ink is consistent with Renaissance materials. The plants remain unidentifiable. Modern cryptographers have tried every method: frequency analysis, machine learning, AI-based decoding. Nothing cracks the code. Even the NSA once examined it. They concluded it might be an actual language or a masterful fake, but they found no key. The manuscript has its own grammar. Words cluster into families. Some sections repeat the same terms, with slight variations, but others introduce strange new symbols. Is it the work of one mind, or many? Was it a monk, a mystic, a prankster? One theory suggests it was meant to impress a patron. Another says it's glossolalia writing under trance, or a form of channeling from another world. Theories abound, but none can explain everything. Why would someone write a book no one could read? Why go through the trouble of illustrating it in such detail? Why make the script so structured? And if it's not a hoax, then what is it? Voynich believed he was on the edge of a great discovery. Some still think he was. Others say he was fooled. The manuscript refuses to yield. It offers no translation, no glossary. It exists in a linguistic void, and yet it feels alive. Scholars describe reading it as dreaming with eyes open. It exerts a pull seductive, maddening. Some say it speaks to the subconscious, a riddle meant not to be solved, but to be wondered at, a mirror reflecting human curiosity itself. Yale has scanned it and made it public. Anyone can download it and try. Thousands have. Some obsess over it for years. Some walk away after hours. All are changed by the encounter. It's a book you don't read, you experience it, like a labyrinth of ink, a whispered dream from a forgotten mind. Some pages are missing. Were they torn out or never written? Were they the key, now forever lost? One thing is certain, the Voynich Manuscript resists answers, but it invites awe. It asks you to wonder, to imagine, to dwell in mystery, and that may be the point. Not every book needs to be read. Some just need to be held and felt. The Voynich Manuscript continues to challenge every codebreaker who meets it, not just for its script, but for its peculiar content. The manuscript is divided into distinct sections, each seemingly more baffling than the last. There's the botanical section, filled with drawings of plants that don't exist in any known catalog. Leaves shaped like fingers, roots spiraling like shells, stems that fork into impossible geometries. Scholars once thought they might be imaginary, or perhaps extinct, or maybe drawn from memory in a dream. Next is the astronomical section, stars and celestial. Charts swirl around zodiac-like symbols, moons, suns, and circular diagrams spread across the parchment. This part inspired theories that the book came from an astronomer's mind or an alien source. Some believe it reflects medieval astrology. Others say it mirrors ancient knowledge lost to time. Then comes the biological section. Strange nude women populate the pages. They bathe in green, liquid flowing through tubes and pools. The women seem joyful, sometimes interacting with plants or machines. The pipes they float in resemble internal organs or medieval plumbing. Could this be an early attempt to document anatomy, or a symbolic representation of life and healing? The women's sameness and appearance suggest a theme. They could represent fertility, alchemy, or something entirely forgotten. A pharmaceutical section follows. Jars and containers line the pages. Stars hover above the drawings, as if to suggest heavenly guidance, herbal remedies, alchemical potions. There's no way to tell. Then the recipes page is filled with text alone. Short paragraphs marked with a star-like glyph at the beginning of each. Some pages resemble poetry, others list or instructions, but no one knows what they say. The language remains indecipherable. Every symbol a mystery. Some believe it's a cipher, using a complex system of substitutions. Others suggest it's a constructed language, invented from scratch, or even an elaborate hoax, carefully made to look real. Yet statistical analysis of the text suggests something real beneath the surface. The word patterns are consistent, the structure mimics known languages. Even if the symbols are alien, some words repeat often. Others appear only once, like a real language would. This is why experts remain captivated. They know it's not gibberish, but they still can't read it. Even machine learning has tried. Algorithms have analyzed character frequency. Patterns resemble natural language syntax. But even AI has no clue what the words mean. One model guessed it might be based on Hebrew. Another pointed toward ancient Romance languages. Nothing holds up under scrutiny. For every theory, there's a counter-argument. The manuscript is stubborn in its silence. Over the decades, even the tone of inquiry has changed. Some scholars now study it not to solve it, but to understand why it remains unsolved. As if the mystery itself is the subject. Could it be a medieval artist's thought experiment? A private language made for joy, or devotion, or a forgotten work of spiritual insight? The illustrations might hold the key, or they might just be distractions. Their charm is undeniable. The colors, though faded, still glow softly. Greens, reds, blues, all made from natural pigments. Whoever painted them took great care. The brush strokes are delicate. The lines flow like water. Some suggest a woman might have made it. Others say a monk. Still others think it was a team scribe, artist, and visionary. But the creator remains as faceless as the script. No name inside. No reference to a place. Just pages and pages of unbroken mystery. Yet somehow, the mystery makes it feel alive. Like the book itself is breathing, watching, waiting. Not to be solved, but to be remembered. Historians have tried to compare it to other works, but none match its tone, style, or content. It exists in its own category. Some call it the most unreadable book ever made. Others call it the most beautiful. It's a riddle that transcends time. Every scholar who studies it leaves with more questions. Every answer collapses under doubt. And still, it endures. Locked, silent, eternal. A codex with no key. A book no one can read, yet no one can stop trying. The manuscript had evaded codebreakers for centuries, but in the 20th century, cryptographers took a renewed interest. Among them were the very minds who cracked the Nazi Enigma code. Brilliant men, armed with the latest in frequency analysis. If anyone could decipher it, surely they could. But the Voynich Manuscript didn't give way. Its letters defied standard linguistic patterns. There were no punctuation marks, no obvious syntax or grammatical structure. And yet, it wasn't random. Statistical studies showed that the script had structure. Certain words appeared with consistent regularity. It followed patterns like natural language does, but no known language matched it, and no cipher method seemed to fit. Some began to wonder, was it even meant to be read? Was it an elaborate hoax, or a forgotten tongue no one speaks anymore? Linguists and historians clash over its purpose. Was it encoded Latin, a made-up language designed to obscure knowledge? A medieval attempt at obfuscation? Even artificial languages were proposed. Some claimed it was glossolalia nonsense created in a trance. Others suggested it was a semitic writing text with no literal meaning. Still, the illustrations made that hard to believe. Someone had gone to great effort to create them. Each page bore purpose, even if its message was lost. In 1962, the NSA took a look. The U.S. National Security Agency, accustomed to Cold War ciphers. Their findings. It seemed like a real language, just one we didn't know. But no breakthroughs came. Decade after decade, theories piled up. Theories, but no solutions. Meanwhile, the manuscript itself remained in a rare book's vault. At Yale University's Voynich Library, preserved behind glass away from light and heat. A relic more famous for its mystery than its content. By the 2000s, digital scans made it available to everyone. Scholars and amateurs alike tried their hand. Some tried machine learning. Others turned to ancient alphabets and forgotten tongues. One theory suggested it was written in a medieval dialect of Hebrew. Another believed it was coded Latin using a Roman shorthand. None gained wide acceptance. In 2014, a computer scientist claimed partial decipherment. He said it described herbal remedies and bathing rituals, but critics argued his translation bent the data to fit his ideas. The Voynich resisted, as always. Then in 2017, a new claim made headlines. A historian claimed it was a women's health manual written in Latin. He used an old Latin shorthand as the key. But peer review exposed flaws. The theory collapsed under scrutiny. This was a recurring theme. Bold claims, soft foundations. The manuscript was like quicksand. The harder you tried to make sense of it, the more it pulled you, and yet, something about it was undeniably human. Whoever wrote it wasn't joking. The consistency across hundreds of pages was too deliberate. The language had structure. The imagery followed thematic patterns. There were bathing rituals, stars, medicines. The author, if we can call them, that had a vision. A worldview expressed in words we can't read, but a worldview nonetheless. Perhaps it was private knowledge, intended only for a select group. or for no one at all meant as personal expression. We don't know their name, their nationality, their intentions. All we have are pages, vellum, ink, and silent illustrations. Modern linguists tried using artificial intelligence. They fed the script into neural networks, hoping that patterns would emerge. Some claimed success. Words matching botanical Latin, or fragments that resembled Indo-European roots. But it was always partial, like catching whispers through a storm. The truth never fully arrived. And so the manuscript remained a mirror, reflecting the minds of those who studied it, seeing what they wanted to see. A code waiting for a key that may not exist, or a message from a world we've lost. Either way, it stayed locked, not by force but by time. Worn edges, ink long dried, words frozen in a language no one speaks. The Voynich Manuscript remained undefeated, but not forgotten. For every mystery it held, it offered something else, a quiet reminder that not all knowledge can be possessed. By now, the Voynich Manuscript had become more than just a puzzle. It had grown into legend, a symbol of the unknowable, a ghost of a language long dead or never born. But the story doesn't end with mystery. It also tells us something about our nature, why we can't stop trying to understand it, why it keeps pulling us back. We are pattern-seeking creatures. Faced with chaos, we search for order. Faced with silence, we imagine voices. The Voynich offers both, and so it becomes a mirror. Each reader sees something different in its pages. A scientist might see coded knowledge. A mystic might see lost wisdom. A historian might see a window into a forgotten culture. A dreamer might see poetry trapped in glyphs. But what did the author see? That is the question no one can answer. We don't know if they expected anyone to read it. Maybe it was never meant to be understood. Maybe it was a personal journal, a spiritual manuscript, a work of fiction in an invented world. Maybe it was all a performance pages meant to impress, not explain. Like the alchemists who drew strange symbols to protect their secrets, or the scribes who wrote in ciphers to keep knowledge exclusive. In the 15th century, knowledge was power, but it was also dangerous. Books could be burned, writers could be punished. Secrecy wasn't just preference, it was protection. So, perhaps this wasn't about mystery for its own sake. It was survival. But then again, the illustrations feel too strange. They don't hide, they shout. Naked women bathing in green pools, stars and moons and flowers that don't exist. Entire pages filled with tangled roots and looping vines. This wasn't about silence. It was a celebration of something. But what? That's what makes the Voynich so haunting. It speaks so loudly, and yet we don't understand a word. Its language dances on the edge of comprehension. We recognize letters but not their meaning. We see patterns but not their purpose. We feel intention but can't name it. And so it lives between worlds, between art and science, between order and nonsense, between ancient and eternal. Even if it's never decoded, it remains beautiful. Its pages are alive with motion. The ink curves like vines across parchment, each line drawn with care. Whoever wrote it had time and patience and a vision we will never fully see. In a way, that's what makes it powerful. Not every mystery needs solving. Some mysteries are meant to be companions, to remind us that not all things are meant for us. That some knowledge belongs to another time, another voice, another kind of mind. And yet, that doesn't stop us from reaching. And that reaching is its own kind of beauty. In every attempt to decode the manuscript, there's hope. The hope that something forgotten can be remembered. The belief that effort matters even if it fails. That curiosity itself is a sacred thing. The Voynich Manuscript invites this curiosity. It doesn't shut the door. It leaves it slightly open, just enough to make us wonder, just enough to keep us trying. And that's what gives it life. Not the words we can't read, but the questions we keep asking. Who wrote this? Why did they create it? What does it mean? The answers may never come, but the search continues. Scholars pore over scans late into the night. Artists paint its pages on their walls. Coders feed it into algorithms. Poets find metaphors in its silence. Filmmakers, musicians, storytellers, it reaches them too. It moves through time like a myth, always out of reach, always. Just one breakthrough away. 1,000 hands have touched it, but no one has held it completely. That may be its true purpose. Not to be solved, but to be wondered at. A puzzle not of logic, but of longing. The Voynich Manuscript still rests where it has for years. Yale University's Voynich Rare Book Library, carefully preserved in climate-controlled silence. Bound in limp vellum, its pages fragile but intact. Visitors come to see it, to glimpse a mystery in ink and parchment. And many leave with more questions than they arrived with. That's part of the experience. You don't read the Voynich, you feel it. It hums with untold stories, whispers from a past that didn't leave a name. It has survived wars, plagues, and the fall of empires. Yet here it is, still whole. Time couldn't erase it, but time also couldn't explain it. In an age of high-speed answers and instant access, the manuscript remains defiantly obscure. It reminds us of the limits of knowledge. That even with AI, quantum computing, and global collaboration, some things still resist us. And in that resistance, there is something deeply human. We are not omniscient. We are not owed explanations sometimes. We're meant to sit in the unknown, to be humbled by it, to learn from it not through understanding, but through awe. The Voynich Manuscript is a kind of sacred silence, a conversation we cannot enter, and yet we keep trying. Because mystery is not failure, it is imitation. Each generation that encounters the book adds a new layer of meaning, not through translation, but through imagination. A cipher is not just a riddle, it is a reflection. We see our own minds and how we try to solve it. We bring our biases, our hopes, our beliefs. Some see hidden science. Some see forgotten medicine. Others see nonsense or even deliberate hoax. But whatever we see, we bring the manuscript to life again. We make it relevant. A 15th century artifact becomes a 21st century dialogue across languages, cultures, disciplines. It touches historians, linguists, codebreakers, and artists, writers, spiritual seekers. It is a crossroads of inquiry and a quiet rebellion against easy answers. So what if it never reveals itself? So what if its words are forever out of reach? The point was never just to solve it. The point was to seek, to wonder, to stretch the limits of what we think we know. And that, in itself, is a kind of knowing. We understand more about ourselves the longer we spend with it. Our need for certainty, our discomfort with ambiguity, our craving for story and meaning. In this way, the Voynich is more than a book. It is a meditation, a slow, quiet challenge to our impatient minds. It reminds us of the value of mystery, not as a problem, but as presence, something that deepens us. Not everything needs to be solved to be sacred. Some things are holy in their silence. Some truths are meant to remain wordless. The manuscript's strange flowers bloom forever in unreadable ink. Its stars never explain their orbits. Its bathers remain unnamed. And yet, we care. And that caring is a kind of connection. We are linked to the person who wrote those pages. Across 5 centuries of unknowing, we feel their hand in the strokes of the pen, their attention in the curling vines, their intention even if we'll never know what it was. There's something intimate in that. A silent conversation between two minds, separated by time. We listen with our eyes, and we respond with wonder. The book remains closed, even when open, and perhaps that is its gift. It keeps us humble, it keeps us curious, and it keeps us reaching for meaning, for connection, for beauty, even in the unreadable. The Voynich Manuscript will likely outlive us. It may outlive centuries more, and long after our tools and theories are forgotten, it will still be waiting to be read or simply witnessed. A puzzle we don't need to solve to love. A mystery we don't need to crack to cherish. A book no one can read yet somehow it speaks. Not in language, but in presence. Not in answers, but in imitation. So, we lean closer, we squint at the ink, and we whisper back into the silence, we see you. That's it for today's Forgotten Tale. If this story made you raise an eyebrow don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that dusty little bell so you never miss another echo from the past. Drop it in the comments. We're always listening for new echoes. Got a weird bit of history you think we should cover? Until next time, keep your curiosity loud and your history weird. That's it for today's Forgotten Tale. If this story made you